Hello, welcome to the episode of Motoring Middle East, and today I'm checking out the internet's favorite car. This is the Suzuki Jimny, the pint-sized 4x4 that's taken all our hearts by storm. And you can kind of understand why. It's really cute. It's the Barbie of 4x4s. Nobody can resist it. It's very cheap and promises to be very capable off-road. In fact, it could be all the car you need. I've had more messages and questions about this car than literally anything else we drive. So the question is it any good? Well, let's start off with the obvious stuff that makes it good in the first place. Prices. It starts at about 62,900 for the manual. Yes, they do bring a manual. And it's 67,900 for the automatic, which is the one that I've got here. It comes in one spec. This Jimny Sierra spec, which is kind of what you get in other markets. And by the way, you can't actually buy it because it's completely sold out. Hopefully you'll get some in July or whenever you watch this. But stock has been extremely hard to get a hold of. And that's because Japan has actually cut the number of cars we get here, because everybody wants Jimnys around the world. It's a massive global hit. I'm not kidding about saying this is the internet's favorite car. Well, in case you're wondering why I'm sitting on the ground, it's to give you an idea of perspective, because I want to see tell you how tiny this thing is. Like when I stand up, you'll see. Suddenly I'm a giant. I'm a giant in front of the Jimny. It is very small, but it is also very cool. So let's take a closer look at the Jimny and see if it fits your needs. I think a lot of you are going to be very interested and maybe even a little bit surprised by how this one turns out. So why is the Jimny so much hype? Why is it so cool? Well, it's basically a little shrunk G-Wagon, or it's a Wrangler that's been stuck in the wash. It's a proper 4x4 that's just pint-sized. I'll do a walk around now to show you exactly how tiny it is. I mean, it really won't take long. Look at that. But despite its sort of compact looks, it is actually a real off-roader. It's a body-on-frame car, so that means it's got a separate chassis and the body sits on top. And when I say separate chassis, you can see it. Look at that green bit. That's the separate chassis. This up here is the body. And below that it's got sort of beefy off-road suspension. I mean tiny off-road suspension. Hopefully you can see it here. But look at those tiny little shocks. Look at those tiny little springs. Proper off-road stuff. Front solid axles, rear solid axles. Approach and departure angles are absolutely excellent. Look at that. Really good for the front. Ground clearance, pretty decent. And the departure angle is insane. Car ought to be standing on its bum. Plus it got a little spare on the back like every proper off-roader have. However, this doesn't detract from the fact that this is an unbelievably tiny car. Those are 15-inch wheels, 195/80s. You can actually lift it and make it a monster little off-roader. That's going to cost you money, but as it comes out of the factory, it's actually very capable. So a lot of people love it because it's got... So why are people so interested in this car? Well, it's kind of the off-roader of their dreams. As I said before, it's very cheap. It's also got an economical 4-cylinder engine, a 1.5 litre engine with 100 horsepower, which is enough for most people. It comes in very basic spec, manual, automatic, very few toys. And for a lot of people, it's ideal. If you're on holiday in somewhere like Cyprus, this would be the perfect car for you. But also if you live in remote places, it's a little tough little bastard of a car that will get you just about anywhere you need to go. If you live in the city, it's a cute runaround. I mean, would you have this or a new Mini? I mean, really? Of course you'd have this. It looks way cuter. So for everybody, it seems to fit their lives. Does it work in the UAE, where we have big highways and, well, let's be honest, big dunes? Does the Jimny work? Well, kind of. But let's focus on the positives. It's got 2 doors, but it's got 4 seats. I'll get to the interior bit to see in a minute, but I want to focus on the exterior practicality for a second. I love these exposed hinges down here and this Jimny all grip badge, which means it's got torque vectoring basically. Everything you see in this car makes sense because it was there for a reason. You can even see the rain gutter that runs along the side of the car. This tailgate spare actually swings out, and I'll show you right now. I don't know if you can see the boot because there isn't any. That is actually the boot. That's it. I feel like the rear passengers are part of the safety structure. But worry not. Look at that. You've got a proper boot space. This is actually quite cool because these are rubberized materials, so you can put stuff on top of it. So you've got a fairly decent boot space. It's like a little van in here. In the back, there are virtually no toys. There are no air conditioning vents. There's nothing. I don't even know what these cool strakes are for. Is it a speaker? It actually might be a speaker. That's a luxury item in a Jimny. But you do have seat belts for people who want to be safe in the back. But apart from that, there is nothing. Oh, you got little grab handles here. Aren't they adorable? They're so cool because you can actually see the exposed screws. This car feels like it would be dismantled by hand. All right, let's see if I actually fit in the back, which is going to take some gymnastics, believe me. You find me here in the back seat of the Suzuki Jimny, where I am not entirely comfortable, but I am back here. I'm 5'10", and I fit back here. My knees are brushing up against the front of the steering seat, the driver's seat, which is set to my driving position. So I can sit behind myself. There is a little space here to rest my arm. There is another space here where I will keep my hand out of the lap of my passenger, hopefully. You can fit. There's so much headroom. So much headroom. It is actually quite spacious above me. But you can sit. I wouldn't want to do this to Abu Dhabi every day, but you could fit 4 people in this car. The front seats are better, obviously. But actually, this is a 4-seater. Who would have thought it? The Jimny is surprisingly practical. Is there space for anything behind me? No. No, not at all. So, as I said before, if I drop this seat, I've got luggage space. Alright, so let's see what the Jimny is like on the inside. And as you can tell, it's delightfully retro. It's styled to look like an old 80s Suzuki Jimny. So it's got this very square dash with the oh shit handle here, exposed hex head bolts, lovely little rotary AC vents. But of course a modern Android tablet here, a 3-spoke steering wheel just like the 80s SJ, and these orange on black instruments. Check that out. Very, very cool, very, very simple, very, very basic. Steering wheel is incredibly bereft of information. All you've got is this mode switch here, which I press the horn. This is track up, track down. This is info, which changes a few things on the information display. A mute button, pick up call, cancel call, and a Bluetooth button. Doesn't seem to do very much. But other than that, very, very simple. I'm actually having to crouch in the car to show you. I've just fallen down. The seat, pretty comfortable, pretty supportive. I wish it went up and down. In fact, it only just goes back and forth, and it adjusts for reach, obviously. Steering wheel adjusts only for rake up and down, not like this. And I wish that it did, kind of. In the footwell, plenty of space for I have to stop the camera, for the automatic, and of course the manual gear lever you can see over there. There's a little door pocket where you can keep, well, very little, to be honest with you. Storage, not a strong part of the Jimny. You've got a place here to keep your mobile phones. You've got 2 bottle holders. You've got the handbrake. That's really about it. And you've got a proper 4-wheel drive gear selector. It used to be buttons before, but now it's a knob. So front is 2-wheel high. This is 4 high, and I think if you push it down all the way, it's low, but of course the engine is off, so it won't see low. I love this accordion style plastic gaiter. 4-speed auto. Yes, I wish I had the manual. I know I wish I had the manual, but this is what they gave me. You've got the switches down here. I love the styling. Look at this. It's so cool, and they all feel really nice and quality and well built. I mean, it's very plasticky, but it's just steel properly built to last. So what have we got here? This is your passenger side window. This is your driver side window. The driver side window is automatic, very helpful. This is the traction control off, or stability control off. I'll get to that. You've got a hill descent in a Jimny. You've got your 12-volt socket down here and a USB down here. Pretty simple. Air conditioning. Oh yeah, check that out. When's the last time you saw rotaries in a car? Well, in a car this cheap, yes. If you want to get outside air, it's an actual slider, just like a Cressida. So cool. A little button for AC. But it works. It's all very, very simple. AC is pretty strong, seems to work pretty well. Today's a bit of a hot day, so I'll test it in a minute. And you've got an Android Auto screen. Oh, I'll just get back here. There's a little space here to keep, well, nothing, and a small glove box. Oh, proper Android screen. It does take a while to boot up. Options wise, still booting up. Come on, car. Getting older. This is in real time. There you go, Android starting. Okay, so hopefully you can see this. It does wash out in the sunlight. So you've got your navigation here, which opens this app, which seems to be useless. It's like a GPS test app that shows you where the satellites are. Utterly pointless. There's a hard button for it here as well. These are all touch sensitive. I wish there was a volume knob instead of these touch buttons, because they're very hard to find when you're on the go. It does work, but this is basically an Android tablet. You've got your radio here. So that just sort of fires up a radio app. Let's not use some music that I can't actually and music off that I can't actually pay for on YouTube. You've got your telephone. You've got a music. This I can't figure out. This seems to open some sort of app, and I can't get this to go away. It actually just opens up some sort of internal music app, which it's got songs programmed that I can't actually seem to remove. You've got TV and video. Seems to play. What the hell? I didn't even know that was there. Hold on. What is going on here? Okay, all right. Let's look at that later. And you've got things to plug in like aux jacks, TV, and so on. But if you go down here, that's Android. Like, you can install APKs, you can do Android Auto, I guess, if you can figure it out. But it's a full Android screen. Now, sound quality is actually okay. The speakers are down here. You got 4 speakers. That's pretty much it. You've got some EQ settings you can play with. I've had them done my way, but honestly, it's a decent sounding setup. All your Play Store, everything is here like it would be. Oh, wow, there's an interconnection. However, the one problem is the Bluetooth doesn't work. I've been trying to call people for the last few days, and the Bluetooth doesn't seem to have a mic, so I'm not sure what the problem is. I'll tell Suzuki when I give it back, but I'm sure it works in the actual car. Other than that, all pretty straightforward. Would I prefer a simpler radio? Yeah, actually, because this is too high-tech right now. I mean, you can do Android Auto, which will give you Google Maps, but it's a little bit too complicated for the Jimny almost. Having said that, I'm glad that they included it, and it does work. And the sound quality, as I said before, is not bad. Alright, all we can do now with the Jimny, because there literally is nothing else to do. It's such a simple car. No smart keys, just a little normal metal key. All we can do, as I sweat to death in the Jimny, I can't believe it. Yesterday it was 25 degrees. Today it's 38 degrees, and we're all going to die. It's just the rain and the wind stopped and replaced by summer heat. So this is going to be a real test of the Jimny, because this is a car that's designed for nice, simple off-roading in mountain tracks in the snow. And instead of putting it out there, I don't know if you can see this, in the sand, in 40 degrees with soft sand, let's see if it can do it. Oh, and I'm not turning the AC off because I don't want to die. So let's see what the Jimny is like. So we're doing things a little backward for once. Normally I do the road portion, then I do the off-road portion. I want to end with the road portion because I want to tell you what the Suzuki is like when most people drive it on the road, because that's what matters to most people. The off-road stuff is interesting, but most people are going to be driving on the road. What's it like off-road? Well, there's 2 high, 4 high, and 4 low. Now there's a bit of a problem with the Jimny, because in two-wheel driving I pretty much go anywhere. I've actually deflated the tires a little bit because it's a bit warm and I don't want to get stuck. If you put it in 4 high, the ABS and the traction control come back on after 30, which is a real killer in the desert. It's quite tricky to drive. So for most stuff, like I'll show you right now. Okay, so let me put it in 4 high, put it in neutral, really helps. Put the traction control off, hold it down for 5 seconds, it goes off, right, fine. But the moment I go over 30, came back on again. It's a bit of a problem, because I would not recommend you drive this car without traction control and ABS off. It can lead to some very unpredictable situations. But you'd be a really good off-road driver to know what to do. So it's an easy car for most people to drive. The question is it an easy car for everybody to drive? Yes, for the most part. I mean, the shocks are really good. You can see now there's some big ruts I'm going through, but the car's not that unsettled actually. So I'm going to go up some big dunes now and see how it is, because it's actually soaking it up pretty well. Steering is not getting jostled about. It's fine. What I'm going to do is stop, put it into neutral, put it into low. That got low going. And let's see what it's like. See, now revs way too much, but let's see how it does on the big dunes. This is the same course I do for every other car, so I'm not treating the Jimny any different. I was going to put it on some easy stuff, but I wanted to see how it'll do. It's not damaged anything. Oh, ABS just came back on again, but it's actually climbing up everything. Oh, that was a little rough on the old suspension. It's shockingly good. Let's do a little dip, a classic outrageous dip. Oh, you can hear the ABS going in low. It does it. It actually does it. It's a pretty good little off-roader. It's very intuitive, it's small, suspension's decent, a little lift wouldn't hurt, and some bigger tires wouldn't hurt either. Alright, let's try something that Suzuki says it can do. So, I go in low range, let me try. Ooh, Let me try hill descent. It is hill descending. It's hill descending. So it's basically applying the brakes, keeping the car nice and straight. I can see the traction control flashing, keeping it straight and true. So yeah, it can off-road. It is midday and I'm very bored of this. Okay, screw you, hill descent. Let's give it some beans and see how she does. Let's see if she climbs. You hear that low range case whining away? It's doing okay, man. It's doing okay. I wish I could keep it in 4 high. This 4 low is revving way too much. But it does the job. You should be careful that you don't go too fast. It's like a little dune buggy. And it doesn't have the suspension to deal with any real hard impact. So you have to be sensible. You have to not be an idiot. Should I dare go for a big climb? Sure, why not? Oh, no, I bottled it. You know what? I don't want to get crested on this thing. I just don't want to be that guy. And the angles, because it's a little top heavy, so you don't want to do anything stupid. You just don't want to do anything stupid. Alright, let's try a more sensible angle, which doesn't really damage this priceless press car. That was better. That was better. If it sounds like I'm being a bit cautious, it's because I am. I've never driven anything this small in the desert, and I know it can do it, but I'm a little afraid that I'm going to bend it. And considering this is the only dealer car in town, they won't be very happy. But I'm really fed up on low range because it limits my speed. Let's try high range and see how it does using the traction control system. Much better, much better. So this is a real problem. Suzuki needs to put an off switch that actually switches off the traction control. I know everybody out there is saying, why don't you pull the fuse? Why don't you pull the fuse? It's a press car. I'm not going to mess around with the press car. You can pull the fuse when you buy the actual car, and then I'm sure it'll be fine. Or you can install a kill switch like I did on my Dodge Ram. But that's the problem. The Dodge Ram is not sold as an off-road vehicle. This is. So I would like to have electronics that don't interfere with my driving experience. Like right here in a straight line, no problem at all. The moment I lift a wheel, the traction control is a little bit psycho. So what do you think of the Jimny as an off-roader? I think for this sort of thing, slow, steady, careful, just wandering through the desert, it's fine. If you're doing the big stuff, you need to upgrade it with some proper shocks and a kill switch. But for this kind of thing, it's absolutely fine. Just loafing around, wandering, seeing what's there, it's absolutely fine. And it's 40 degrees and the AC is holding up just fine. I'm not so comfortable driving it low range unless I was doing really, really big climbs. Let me see if I can just drop off this ledge here and see what happens. Or will I roll it? It was nice knowing you people. You see, that was traction control. Oh, what is it doing? What is it doing? It's really terrifying. Yeah, traction control and ABS don't stop the car. So it's quite terrifying. If you're in low range, that's fine. Alright, enough of this. I think you get the idea. Alright, high climb. Low range. First gear. Nope, no, it won't let me do it. Alright, let's roll it back. This is a fairly standard climb. Put it in low range. It'll do it in high range. Look at that, it'll do it. It's doing it, it's doing it. It did it. So if you're sensible, the Jimny will go everywhere. But it's not like a Raptor killer. Like a Wrangler is thrice the price, but it's also triple the car. A Land Cruiser is much more expensive for a reason. A Raptor is more expensive for a reason. This is a very simple, humble car which costs 60,000 dirhams with VAT. So As long as you're aware of what it can do and you're sensible and you're a little crazy, because you have to be a bit crazy to take something like this into the desert regularly, it'll be fine. It's a fun toy. All that's left to see is what it's like on the road. If some of you are wondering, would I replace my RAM with this? Probably not, because it's not quite practical. And as you can see back there, it's really quite tense and difficult and tiring to drive this. I'd rather, much rather. Don't get stuck in the shot. All right, put it in high. Much rather have my RAM. So what's the Jimny like on-road? Well, you see what it's like off-road. It's very capable. It can pretty much go most places, but you need to be a little careful with it because it's so small and it doesn't really have the sort of suspension travel of much bigger four-wheel drives. So it sort of depends on its lightness to a huge amount. Will that pay off on-road? Well, I've been driving for 2 days now, and I think yes and no. You see, we don't live in Europe. We don't live in Asia where you don't go above 80 for most of the day. Here's my lot, I'm at 100, 120. Now I'm going to show you what it's like to live with this car at those speeds. Set off. I'm heading on the way home now. If I sound tired, it's because I am. It's because it's 40 degrees and it's killed me. Car's been fine, but I'm dying. So it's a 1.5 litre, 100 horsepower engine. Let's see what it does. Rejoining traffic, fast moving traffic on Emirates Road. 5,000 RPM. This is one of the few cars where I think actually the automatic is fine. It's a 4-speed automatic, but it does the job. I mean, I don't think the 5-speed has particularly better ratios. This is only if you want to enjoy driving a manual, which I would. I would get the manual, I wouldn't get the automatic. But the automatic is fine. It hasn't bothered me. It hasn't got confused. The ratios are pretty well judged. However, it really needs a 5th gear. And I think the manual probably needs a 6th gear. I'm doing 100 kilometers per hour. It's 3,000 RPM. Let me do 120. It's not fast. 0 to 60 is about 12 seconds. That's 120. No. That's 3,500 RPM. So 140 would be well over 4,000 RPM. I'm going to take it down a bit. At 120, it feels happy. But do you feel happy? Well, there's a lot of wind noise, not engine noise, weirdly, and not tire noise. It's wind noise. So it is a little bit tiring. The air conditioning is up to the task. The stereo sounds pretty good. It doesn't quite drown out the wind noise, but it's fine. It is a little fatiguing though. After a couple of days of driving this, I'm pretty tired. And this is most of what we do, is this kind of boring highway schlep. Don't tell me you don't do this every day. So the Jimny isn't quite suited for that. If you're in traffic, if you're in Deira, if you're in, Jumeirah, and you're mostly doing 80, it's perfectly fine. But it does feel like a little bit like a toy. I'm not saying it's bad on the highway. The directional stability is fine. Over 120, there's a very annoying beep which cannot be turned off. You have to cut the speaker. And the steering suddenly becomes a little too sharp. It's electrical rack. It's fine most of the time. Handling, there isn't any. I recorded an earlier video which got lost unfortunately, but the body roll is epic. It feels like a very old off-roader to drive. And if you're not used to that, it may come as a bit of a surprise. It's certainly not like the new Wrangler. So I'm doing 120 and I can't relax, I can't calm down because it's such a small car and everybody's zipping past me. Maybe that's me. There's nothing really wrong with the car, but it isn't exactly relaxing. I'll tell you who this car is for. This car is for people, I'm going to slow down so you can actually hear me so I don't shout all the time. This is for people in their mid-20s, their first off-road, or their first car. If you were going to buy a car and you thought maybe I'll buy a Kia Rio, no, buy this. It's 67 for an automatic. Buy this, it's way more fun and funky, and I love these colors. Two-tone colors like this one are 1,000 dirhams extra. You can't actually get the car because everybody wants it. But I think if they drive it, they might be a little surprised. I'm not saying it's a bad car. I'm just saying that it's a great second car. It's a great third car. It's a great fourth car. Whereas your only car, the joke can wear thin after a while. I think it's a lot of fun. You know what it reminds me of? My Mazda MX-5, which I'm going to put up on the screen now. Really love my MX-5. Had it for years. Just brought joy to my face. Did I use it every day? No. I had other cars to drive every day. Because it was a little intense to drive every day. And that's what this car is as well. I wouldn't go to Abu Dhabi in it. I wouldn't go to Al Ain in it. It is a great toy for rich people or for people who are just starting out. It's a great fun little car. But it does have its limitations, and that's because of what they've done with the car and their ethos. And I should point out that I am really, really impressed with Suzuki for making this car. Most people these days just wouldn't, they'd cop out halfway through and like make it bigger or put a turbo on it or whatever. But no, this is like a legit off-roader. It feels really tough. I've been through some bumpy terrain, no squeaks, no rattles. It feels pretty strong. So well done, Suzuki, for making this car. I think everybody who buys is going to be super happy. Just get a test drive. It may not necessarily fit you, but for the people who it does fit, it's going to put a smile on your face every single day. And I tell you what, I kind of want to drive the manual one now to see what that's like. I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed watching this. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, and if you see me next time, buy me a Pocari because I'm really dehydrated. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.